be well-mannered, be kind, yes, please and thank you opens many doors.
The one thing I learned. Lessons for life.
Welcome to the One Thing I Learned podcast, where every week I speak with inspiring people who I've met or know about and ask them what is the lesson they would pass on to their younger selves or to the next generation and to us as the listeners, in the hope we can all learn something, because we all need a bit more positivity in the world. This episode, I'm talking with a legend of the film industry, Michael Stevenson. Michael and I go way back to the filming of Pearl Harbor, where I was doing a little bit of doubling for Ben Affleck and a bit of acting as well, I suppose. I got a little line in there. Michael is one of the kindest men. He's got a reputation in the industry for knowing everybody. He's worked on more films than I think probably anyone in cinema history. He's an incredible man, an incredible friend, and I just want to hear his stories. I can listen to him all day.
I think I would leave behind that be well-mannered, be kind, yes, please and thank you opens many doors. And while you're being very kind in spirit and manners to Mr. Tom Cruise, Mr. Steven Spielberg, also be the same to the person that probably is cleaning out the stage, like a stagehand, or anybody that is on the unit. Look after them, because it opens many doors, and you're only as good as the people around you. Always remember that. And I learned a long time ago from the different directors that I've had the honour of working with, that to look after the actors is very, very important, because without them, I wouldn't have a job. But also you must take care of all the extra talent, the extra artists that come down just for one day. And be kind and generous in spirit and mind and manner to the young woman or young man that have come down just to do one day in the film. But they're as important as anybody else. Everybody's important, no matter who they are, because without them, you can't make the movie. And it's important in life. It's important in life. Be kind. You look at people how they are. They're human beings. You talk to them. You talk to them. You don't have to be creepy about it, but you be good-mannered, be kind. A lot of people haven't sadly learned how to be kind. I don't understand it. I guess I learned it from my mother and my grandmother. Because they were kind.
Yeah, and you were mentioning to me earlier that you spent a lot of time with them because you were evacuated.
I spent a lot of time with my mother because for 6 years my father was away, like many other men, fighting the Germans. And my grandmother, we were evacuated, my mother and I, from the East End of London, which was bombed very badly. We were evacuated up to Berwick-upon-Tweed in Northumberland, which I've got great memories of. People up there were wonderful. And to Scotland, Dumbarton. So I had a strong relationship with my grandmother, who was Scottish. And my mother, yes. I was very, very close to my mother and my grandmother.
And when did you find that being kind and treating people like that, because you're renowned for it in the industry, and I've experienced it myself. I think I first met you on Pearl Harbor, was the first time I met you, and then I worked on some other films with you over the years, and then it had been about at least 10 years, I think, gap between I saw you, and then I sort of walked into a room and you went, "Hi Ben, how?" You just knew my name. You're really good with names. You're renowned for that. And how have you brought? When did you sort of learn to bring that into your work? Was it just sort of inherent from your learning from your mum?
I think, my mother always said, please and thank you, like I said earlier. And my mother said, always be respectful to older people, but also to younger people as well. And you can't, so when I first went in the film business, I was very polite to everybody. And because it did make a difference, because I heard once somebody talking to somebody very badly, and the person who was being spoken to said, "Who do you think you're talking to? Would you talk to Miss Elizabeth Taylor like that? Then don't talk to me like that ever again." And I could never forgot that. I was only 20 on Cleopatra. I think I was 21. And I always remember that. But then, also, Ben, when I had the honour and pleasure of working with the late Audrey Hepburn in Paris, I remember her saying to somebody, Michael is always good-mannered with me and all the people that get me ready, but he's also very good-mannered to everybody. And it goes a long way. She was very similar. She was very similar to me in the way how she treated people. She treated everybody, whether it was the gentleman picking her up in the morning by car and dropping her off late at night, or whether it was somebody getting her a cup of coffee, or the director, or the leading actor. She was the same. Yeah. She was very well-mannered. And it does, you get more out of people by being kind. Okay, there are times on the film set, as you know, and times on location when suddenly it's a hurry up, we've got to get it now, we've got the lights going, quick, get that over there. There is a bit of shouting. Sometimes people get a bit loud, but it's only for that moment. I remember once calling out to somebody, "Get out the picture, disappear, go behind that wall. Now, go now, we're going to turn over." But when we got the shot, I called that person over and I said, "I'm sorry I shouted at you, but I just needed that moment." I said, "Michael, we understand." And so you have to be generous with people because, film people become your family. You see more of them than what you do of your own family. And whether you're filming in Ireland, Turkey, or somewhere in London or Manchester, and you treat all people the same. Like, when you go up north to Manchester, Liverpool, Newcastle, or where you go across the water to Belfast, you treat people with respect and you get much more wonderful attitude with them. Because the other day, outside the Grand in Clapham Junction, there's a film crew. They're prepping a movie going in there. This was Monday, 2 days ago. And all of a sudden, an Irish woman said, "Michael, it's Rosie. I was the nurse on City of Ember. I'm Belfast. Now I'm a production manager. I will never forget you." And then, as I walked away, after I hugged her, kissed her, as I walked away to the bus stop, she said, "We will never forget you." Because how I'd been with them. Yeah. I treated them like Bill Murray, the leading actor. He loved that as well. Yeah. He noticed it as well. How I was with his driver, his standing, the people on the set. He noticed it as well. Yeah. And Annette Bening, wonderful American actress, noticed it on Death on the Nile, on the set on Sir Kenneth Branagh's Death on the Nile. Yeah. She noticed it, remarked to the first AD, and then he called me over and said, Annette, this is Michael. He said, I've never heard anybody, in all the movies I've ever worked on, Michael, I've never heard anybody talk like you to the people.
Yeah. And so it's just really a way to,
Yeah.
through life, you treat people, like my father was saying to me yesterday,
Yeah.
treat people as you want to be treated.
Exactly. Treat people how you would want them to treat your daughter or your son or your wife. I remember once also on the set, once saying, and somebody was speaking very badly. Yes, I can remember. It was in Ecuador on Proof of Life when the director spoke to a young Venezuelan girl very, very badly. And I said to him, oh, what are you going to say? I said, what am I going to say? Would you speak to your wife like that? Would you speak to your mother like that? Or your daughter like that? And several nights later, we were filming at the airport in Quito, Ecuador, and the leading lady, when a certain person said, oh, Michael looks after all these people, he's kind to all these people, and she said, yeah, and by the way, Michael, if you change, if I hear that you change, I'll come and find you and I'll slap you. Don't change your attitude towards people.
Yeah. Yeah. So just to sort of sum up then, you kind of saying that if you're kind to people and well-mannered to people, they won't forget you. They will...
You'll get a wonderful response.
And, you'll get more out of them at
Of course you will. If you explain to them, it's like if you just take them for granted. It's like when the director wants to work late. Like instead of finishing, say, 6 o'clock or 7 o'clock, he wants to go on to 11 o'clock to finish certain shots. Well, you get everybody together and you say, boys and girls, we'd like to work on tonight, if that's all right with you. The company are going to lay some food on and drinks on, and if anybody's got a problem getting home, we'll try and sort something out with the transport department. But we'd like to thank you very much, and thanks very much for all your help. It takes seconds.
Yeah, it costs nothing, does
and
it?
It doesn't make you a creepy... If you're good-mannered, you get and respect to people, you get more out of them. You get more out of them because they feel that. They feel that and also you make them feel part of the movie. You make them feel that they are important as anybody else, which they are. Because without them, you get by, but you need people.
Yeah.
You need them to be with you. And so if your personality and your nature is that you're kind with them and respectful, they probably end up working as late as you want them to because they have been talked to properly.
Yeah, yeah.
And what I've never understood why people can't do that.
Yeah.
Yes, I've been loud, I've shouted. I've worked with some tough, out of the 91 directors that I've worked with some tough guys.
Who's the toughest? Who's the toughest?
Michael Cimino was tough. Oliver Stone, very tough. Richard Brooks, wonderful writer, director. Elmer Gantry. Cat on a Hot Tin Roof, Sweet Bird of Youth, Lord Jim. Richard Gere's first film, Looking for Mr. Goodbar. Elizabeth Taylor, Cat on a Hot Tin Roof. I mean, amazing. With Paul Newman. But he was tough. He was tough. Michael, cut the dialogue. Roll the camera. Well, the director that you and I work with, Michael Bay's tough.
Yeah.
Yes, that's another one.
Yeah.
Doesn't take any prisoners.
Yeah.
I've never heard him. I think to Anthony Hopkins he might have said please and thank you. But he didn't say it too many times to me. But I was okay with that. He had a hard job, but I kind of, I liked work. I respected him, but he was tough. Michael's tough.
Yeah.
Please and thank you. I don't think he knows too much about.
Who was the kindest director you worked with, do you think?
The kindest one, Lord Richard Attenborough.
Yeah, wow. Yeah.
Lord Richard Attenborough.
You didn't have to think about that one.
I remember once when on Shadowlands, Deborah Winger, tough New York girl, wonderful actress, and she was a bit off that particular morning at Shepperton Studios, and I warned Richard. But when she came on the set with me to do a rehearsal at Shepperton Studios, he said, Deborah, you come with a very tough, hard reputation. Darling, I haven't got time for all of that. And then she hugged him. Said, I'll always be lovely for you, Richard. Richard Attenborough, the kindest director that I've ever had the honour and pleasure of working with.
Yeah.
Yes. Lord Richard Attenborough. The same to everybody. Even when he forgot or couldn't remember everybody's name, he liked to remember people's names. He would call them darling. And somebody said to me one day, one of the clips, what do you call us? I said, it was better to call you darling than hey you.
Yeah.
Better to call you darling, isn't it?
Yeah. So Michael, let's wrap this up in the podcast. But you showed me a little excerpt from the magazine, Port magazine, that you got there. Would you mind just reading that? Because I thought that summed it all up quite well. So the Port magazine is out quarterly.
Yeah, this was out in 2013. It was edited by Daniel Day-Lewis. My protege, Adam Sumner, who's done 11 movies with Steven Spielberg, 4 with Martin Scorsese, 5 with Paul Thomas Anderson. He also was talking about the movies and how I had influenced him and him staying on the movie. A good personality and a capacity for kindness seem to go an awfully long way in the film industry. You must respect everyone on a film set, no matter who they are. I would personally be the same with you on your first film as I am with Steven Spielberg. Work hard, listen to people, offer to help, be good-mannered, and don't take shit from no one.
The one thing I learned, one guest, one story, one lesson, every week. Kind of lesson that stays with you. Not advice, not noise, just something true. Something gathered on the way, something worth passing on. Listen on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and YouTube, and at theonethingilearned.com. Produced by Amelia Clement. Music by Benjamin Hallway from Stamp Productions.